Section 12 of the American Diary of a Japanese Girl. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Kristen Hand. The American Diary of a Japanese Girl by Yone Noguchi. In America, Part 10. 25th. A bamboo table in my room reminded me of a take bush in the neighboring churchyard of my Tokyo home. I cannot sound American Jin's curiosity in prizing such a cheap thing. The bamboo was painted. The cross nails glared from everywhere. I never saw such a Jap work in Nippon. Dear take, O bamboo bush. How I used to laugh, breaking the dreams of sparrows by wriggling the bush. I was so ungoverned. If I could be a grammar school girl again. I secured a reader at a bookstall. My mind was made up to present myself in the Lincoln Night School and mingle with the girls in See the Boy and the Dog. What fun! I went to see the stooping principal. His tarnished frock coat, I fancied he was an old bachelor as one button was off, was just the thing for such a role. I seemed to him a regular nen of 13. He was heartily pleased with my greediness for learning English. Poor soul. He ushered me into the class for which I had brought the book. It was the hour for composition. Ocean, the subject. When I was seated, the girl next to me winked charmingly. She threw me a note within a minute, to which I promptly replied Morning Glory. My note was answered Miss Madge, 340 Mission Street. I wrote her, May I call on you tomorrow? For which she wrote, As you please. I was placed on the dangerous verge of clapping Byron's poem into my ocean. I manufactured 12 of spelling errors. You should belong to some higher class. Take this slip to the principal, the teacher said. You have an imagination. She wiped her spectacles slowly. I left the room remarking, because I am a Japanese. I slipped away from the school altogether. One experience is plenty, I declared. 26th. I went to Mission Street to call on Madge. From both sides of the street peeped the famous Jewish noses. The second-hand clothing shops parade. How droll to see those noses shriveling like a lobster. Madge's father owns a despicable restaurant with only 4 eating tables. Mama cooks while she sits on the counter. When I appeared, she shot out, greeting me, Hello, Morning Glory. Awfully glad to see you. I have come to help you, haven't I? I was ready to strip off my jacket and wind myself in her apron. Her papa was dumbfounded by my sudden action. The outside board with the bill of fare was scraped out by this morning's rain. It looked as miserable as an Italian vegetable wagon under the rain. My first work was to rewrite it. I saw a Jew at a neighboring door striving with one about the value of pants. A shoemaker's pan hammered on my head from the opposite house. Mission Street is the street of horse dung. When my job was over, an honorable Mr. Wagon Driver leaped in, bidding me serve some soup. I ran into the kitchen to fetch it. I spilled it on the table. That's all right, honey, he said in a patronizing aloofness, and pierced my face with his gummy red eyes. Oh, kawaii. Shocking. I put one $5 piece of gold on Madge's palm when I left her, because her shoes were heelless. Pity the Misumi. 27th. I bought one book, being captivated by its title. Isn't When Knighthood Was in Flower beautifully chivalrous? I have remarked that every imperial cruiser anchors at an isle close by Lu Chu, just on account of the enticement in the name Come and See. I found in my trunk an introduction to Miss Rose by my professor friend of Tokyo University. Miss Rose? My imagination started to move like a watch. I fancied she should be 19 since she was a miss. No Rose girl can be homely. I went to see her. Alas! She was a lady like a beer barrel. Her fingernails were black. I left her like a miner stepping out of a gold mountain with empty hands. I wonder why the mayor didn't object to letting an ugly woman be crowned with a pretty name. 50 years old Miss Rose. Now I fear to read Mr. Major's book. 28th. The following is my letter to Mr. Oscar. Oscar-san, Ellis-san, I never liked your profession simply because it is too beautiful. I don't see why you cannot transfer to some other business. I have been ever so much fascinated with odd sorts of manual work. If I were a gentleman, I would very likely pursue the calling of grave digger or sea diver. Yesterday I passed by some laborers breaking massive stones. They lifted their hammers. Oh, Oscar, look at their muscles. And knocked them down to the sound of Sarah Baggin. They jerked the Sarah Baggin, Oscar. Does it mean ready? Mr. Willis's Century Dictionary must be imperfect, since it does not contain such a word. Am I misspelling? Suppose I marry one of those. He will return home awfully tired. He will naturally doze after dinner. When his smoking pipe has slipped from his lips and burned my best tablecloth, isn't it possible that I will be mad? I startled him, pulling his hair ever so hard. Now you must think that he grew mad also. He seized my arm and beat me. Oh, Oscar, he beats me surely. Then he will repent his conduct and kneel by my side, begging my forgiveness. He will say, my dear, sweet wife. Do you know how interesting it is to be beaten by a husband? I well nigh fixed my mind never to affiance with a man too genteel to hit me. Woman is a revolting little bit of thing. If you say yes, I am quite ready to slam my no. Oscar-san, I am afraid that you are too amiable. What you have to do for your next missive is to collect every kind of dreadful adjectives from your dictionary and throw them in. You know what to do when I get angry, don't you? Ellis-san, you are too handsome. I am fond of a comely face as anybody else, but I fancy often how it would be if I fell in love with a deformity. People would laugh at me, doubtless, but how dramatic it would be when I proclaimed, because I love him. What a romantic phrase that is. Can't you deform yourself? Sayonara, with 1,000 bows, M.G. P.S. My letter never finishes without a P.S. Isn't that awful? My uncle asked me whom I was corresponding with. I mentioned Olive. Old man is jealous always. So you got to counterfeit your sister's penmanship for your envelope. 29th. I drank the last drop of my coffee. Oji-san, when shall we go to New York? I said, pillowing my face on my hands on the breakfast table. As soon as spring begins to flicker in the east, my little woman. It's snow and snow there at present. I love snow, uncle. Old gentlemen can't bear tyrannical cold, Morning Glory. Don't you notice how tired I am of Frisco? Aren't you tired? Yes, frankly. Why don't you then contrive some novel diversion to pass a month? I've a fancy, but... What is it? It may not strike you as romantic. Tell me. I am known to one poet who dreams and erects a stone wall on the hillside. He is unlike any other. His garden and cottage are open to everybody. I ever incline to loaf in an irregular puff of odor from his acacia trees. If you lean towards a poetical life, I have no hesitation in seeing him to make an arrangement. Great, uncle, it's romantic. Is he married? Why? Because a poet is not one woman's property, but universal. My ideal poet is melancholy. Fat poet is ridiculous. Happy poet isn't of the highest order. Tennyson? I wish his life had been more hard up. I suppose your friend poet won't mind if I sleep all day? Is he particular about the dinner time? Does he look up to the stars every night? Does he wash his shirt once in a while? Stop. Then I asked respectably, is the sight from there beautiful? Wonderful. The only place where you can breathe the air of divinity. Very well, uncle. We will settle there and hasten to become poets. It wouldn't be a bad idea, I say, to start again with your honorable lotos eaters. Paradise Lost shall be my next subject. If nobody publishes it, I will present it solemnly to our Empress. She is a poetess, you know. My uncle went to see Mr. Poet. 30th. Uncle said that the poet said, "You are welcome, sir. The cottage for your young lady lies by one willow tree. The waters, the air, the grand view are God's. It costs a wee bit of money to provide the best coffee. I tell you that my claret is superb. You shall be my guest as long as you please. Present my love to Miss Morning Glory. Everything will be ready when you come." Isn't he adorable? I ejaculated. I stirred my trunk and sifted out the things needful for my adventure. 31st. Tomorrow. The Heights, February 1st. Let me recline heart to heart on the breast of Mother Nature. Let me retreat to a hillside not far from the city, yet verily near to God. Let me go to my poet abode. We abandoned the Fruitvale car at the hill foot. My uncle picked out our destination from the speckles in the distance. The breeze, how heavenly is a country breeze, enticed my soul. A Jap girl also is provided with some soul. Into far beyond. I feel myself another girl, uncle. How? I am a poet already. The poet without poem is greater, don't you know? We climbed the hill slowly. Every step enlarged the spectacle. When we attained to one wildly well-kept garden, the whole bay of the Golden Gate stretched before us. 1,000 villages knelt humbly like vassals. I saw a tiny gate with the sign, Fruit Grower. An old gentleman appeared from a cottage, singing, "Ah, take the cash and let the credit go, nor heed the rumble of a distant drum." "Poet," Uncle whispered. Let me now examine him. What lengthy hair he wore! It didn't annoy me, however, because he stamped himself on my mind as if he were an ancient statue. I imagined him a type of medieval squire. I thought of him truly as one metamorphosed from the frontispiece of a wholly forgotten volume in a cobwebbed recess of a library. His courteous voice was simply dignified. "Nature never hurries. God commands you every happiness and all repose. Here's your little home, my gentle lady. I am at your service any time. I hope you will find it comfortable." He set me at the willow cottage. He slipped gracefully away. There was some time before I heard his katsu katsu on my door. I opened it. "Greetings from the host. Mr. Heine offered me a tuft of brisk roses." Heine was the poet's name. How loving! I buried myself in the thought of straying to a fairy isle and being accepted romantically by the dwellers. I suspected that I was dreaming. "Arcadia!" I exclaimed, when the poet announced that supper would be prepared within half an hour. I spied him through the window, gathering the loppings of trees and leaves. He made a campfire. Its soft smoke surged into the sky. Oh, smell it! How fascinating is the poet's life! I ran out crying, "Pray, make me useful." End of section 12.